Hi, boys and girls. This is Chapter 9, Lesson 2. The topic of today's lesson is the area of a triangle. After today, you should be able to calculate area of a triangle using the area formula. Just like we learned the formula for a parallelogram, today you're going to learn the formula for area of a triangle. And you should also, you'll be able to find the area of a triangle, and also you'll be able to find the missing dimension. If you have the area of a triangle and another dimension, you should be able to get the missing dimension that it's asking for. The first thing I want you to write down is triangles, and then copy these triangles as close as you can. And every single triangle in the whole wide world can be made into two parallelograms with the exact same with two equal triangles. So here's what I mean by that. This triangle, if I took another one of these triangles and flipped it and put it into this shape right here, I would have a parallelogram. Here's what I mean. If I made a copy of this triangle and I rotated it around, put it into this spot, now I would have a parallelogram. Same with this triangle. If I made a copy of this triangle and just put it into this position right here, I would have a parallelogram. Finally, this triangle, same thing. If I made a copy of this triangle and I rotated it around and put it into this position right here, I would have a parallelogram. So to any triangle that you've got, like this triangle, if I make another one of those triangles and put it into position, I can make a parallelogram. This pink triangle, if I make a copy of it and put it right there, now I've got a parallelogram. And same with this yellow triangle. If I make another one, put it right there, I've got a parallelogram. Okay, so every triangle can be made into a parallelogram with two equal triangles. Every triangle can be made into a parallelogram with two equal triangles. Two orange triangles, identical, made into a parallelogram. Two identical pink triangles, made into a parallelogram. And two identical yellow triangles made into a parallelogram. Okay, so that is first big idea. Next is this, the base and the height of triangle. Okay, the base and the height of the triangle. Any side of your triangle can be the base, and then you would have to find a height for whatever base of the triangle you're looking at. So this is very confusing for some kids. I'm going to try and show that with this example right here. Here I've got a triangle with a yellow side, a blue side, and a pink side. Okay, what I mean by that, and this is my ground, okay, I could make the yellow side the base. If I set this triangle down on the ground, just like this, now I've got a base. The height of this triangle, if the yellow side were the base, the height would be this yellow bird pooping straight down. That would be the poop line if I made the base the yellow side. Okay, so now I'm going to highlight the poop line for the yellow triangle. So one way I could look at that triangle, and you don't have to copy this down, it's pretty hard drawing to copy. You can if you want to, but it's pretty tough. So I could set this triangle down on the ground like this, and then that yellow line would be my poop line. Okay? But depending on how the triangle is drawn and what you know about the triangle, now I'm going to rotate this same triangle. Here's my ground. That hasn't changed. I'm going to set the triangle down on this blue side. So now the ground is still the ruler, but I'm setting the triangle down on the ground like that. So now the blue side is the base of my triangle. Well, look at the blue bird up here. Bird lands right here. If I'm looking at the blue side as the base, bird would land right here, and it would poop straight down. That would be the height of this triangle. The height of this triangle, the poop line straight down, it's outside of the triangle, and that can happen. So now I'm going to highlight the blue poop line. So if I were to set the triangle down on the blue side, make the blue side the base, that blue line, the poop line, would be this. So here is the base of my triangle. This would be the poop line, straight down. Not this pink line, that goes at a slant. It's not straight down. The blue line goes straight down. So one final side, I could rotate my triangle and make the pink side the base. So again, the ruler is my ground. Now the pink side is the base. So imagine the bird would land right here and it would poop straight down. The blue line would not be the poop line. Okay, that side of the triangle, that's at a slant. The poop always falls straight down. So now I'm going to highlight this line as the poop line if this were the base. This is probably the hardest thing for kids to work with triangles, is figuring out which side is the base and which side, and then figuring out a height. Okay, so if the pink were the base, I'm setting this triangle down on the ground right here. The bird lands here and the poop goes straight down. So what I wanted to highlight with this is the base and height of the triangle can be any side of the triangle. If I set it down on the ground like this, the yellow is the base, and then you see the poop line for the yellow bird. If I were to set the triangle down, rotate it, and set it down on the ground like this, okay, the blue side is the base. Okay, here is my ground, flat on the ground. Here is the poop line, if this were the base. The last side that I could make the base is the pink. If this is my ground and I set this triangle down on the ground, here is the poop line, or the height, if the base were this pink line. Okay, so any side of your triangle can be the base. Then you just have to find the height, the poop line. Okay, so the base is the bottom. It's the side that you're setting on the ground. Okay. Whatever side you're setting on the ground is the base. And then the height would be the poop line. All right? Any side can be the base. Okay? But whatever the base is, that's the side that you're setting on the ground, and then the height is going to be the poop line with that side set on the ground. All right, so real big idea for today. The formula for area of a triangle. The formula for area of a triangle is this. I'm going to come back to this idea. Any triangle can be made into a parallelogram with two equal triangles. And we know the formula for area of a parallelogram. Area of a parallelogram is base times height. So if this is a parallelogram, the area of this orange parallelogram would be the base times the height. But I've only got half of that amount. This triangle is only half of the parallelogram. Same with this one. Area of this parallelogram would be base times the height, but the triangle is only half of that amount. So the formula for area of a triangle, it's similar to area of a parallelogram, but half the amount. So this is what it looks like. The area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. Okay? There, if I cover up this half like that and say area equals base times height, that would be the area of a parallelogram. And then if I just want the triangle, I want half of that amount. I want to multiply it by a half. So this is probably the most common way you'll see that formula written. But I want to show you another way that you can write it. And most sixth graders like this formula better. But these are identical. So area equals 1/2 times the base times the height, or you could multiply the base times the height. That would be a full parallelogram, and then divide it by 2. Either one of these formulas, they're the same thing, just written a little differently. Okay, so area equals 1/2 base times height, or area equals base times height divided by 2. And again, most sixth graders prefer that version of it, okay, but those are the same thing. Now let's put those formulas into use, okay? Find the area of this triangle. Find the area of triangle. And I'm going to make a triangle. And you can just kind of sketch this. Okay, here's my triangle. Does not have to be exact, okay, but there's a triangle. And I'm going to tell you that this bottom or base of the triangle is 5 units. Bird lands right here. Poop line is straight down. And I'm going to tell you that that is 2. So to find the area of a triangle, the very first thing you should always do is copy the formula. Okay, area equals base, and I'm going to use this one. Okay, I can use either one, but I'm going to choose this one. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Copy the formula. Kids get lazy, they don't copy the formula, and those kids make way more mistakes. Go back to your notes, copy the formula for the area of the figure that you are trying to find. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Now look at this triangle. What is the base? That's this side, 5. The height is this poop line right here. That is a 2. So I plug in those numbers. 5 times 2 divided by 2. That is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 over 2. And then that simplifies. 10 divided by 2 is 5 units squared. I did not tell you what the units were, so I'm going to say U for units and squared. Area is always counting squares. Okay, so always, always, always start with the formula. Plug in the numbers that you know. Okay, and so if you have a triangle today on your practice and it says find the area, this is what your work should look like. I'm going to highlight this in green. Okay, this green box. This is what your work should look like. if it says find the area of a triangle. You're writing down the formula, you're plugging in the base and the height, and then you're just solving following order of operations, 5 units squared. If it gave me the units, inches, feet, whatever label, I would make that label squared. Okay, the other kind of problem is find the missing dimension. And this kind of problem is trickier. Okay, so sometimes it's find the area of a triangle, sometimes it says find the missing dimension. Okay, so find the missing dimension means you don't know the height or you don't know the base and you're trying to find the missing thing you don't know. So I'm going to draw a new triangle and I'm just going to look about like this. Okay, again, does not have to be exact, but this time, here's my bird and the poop line is this line right here. And I'm going to tell you that the poop line is a 3. Okay, that's 3. And I'm also going to tell you that the area of this triangle, the area is 24 units squared. So this time, I'm telling you the poop line is 3. The area of this triangle is 24 units squared. What I don't know is this. I do not know what the base is. The base, I'm going to put, I don't know, question mark. Again, no matter what, you start with the formula. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. Okay, and this time, I know the area. The area is 24. I know the height. The height is 3. What I don't know is B. So now I'm going to plug in the numbers that I do know into the formula. I know the area is 24, so this area turns into 24 equals, I don't know the base, I do know the height, so I know that base times 3, these are being multiplied, base times height, my height is 3. Okay, now this is complicated for a lot of kids. 24 equals base times 3 divided by 2. This is the way I like to think of this problem. Okay, I'm going to get out my highlighter here. And I've got, instead of b times 3, I'm going to think of this thing as an amount, a blob, this orange blob. Okay, I don't know what this blob is. Okay, but I do know that if I take this orange blob and I divide it by 2, I get 24. Okay, so most kids can figure that out. If I have this orange blob, this b times 3, and I divide it by 2, I get 24. So another way to think about that is if I double 24, that's what this orange blob has to be. Okay, so what's 24 doubled? Okay, so now I know that my orange blob is, if I double 24, my orange blob is 48. This thing, this b times 3, it has to be 48, because 48 divided by 2 gives me 24. Now I can do some more thinking. What number times 3 gives me 48? I want to know what that b is. So how would I figure that out? What number times b equals, what number times 3 equals 48? That is like a little mini equation right there. B is being multiplied by 3. I want to divide by 3. I want to divide 48 by 3. 48 divided by 3 is 16. So B equals 16. The base of this triangle is 16. Now, how would I test it to see if that is the right answer? I would put 16 into this formula along with 3. 16 times 3 makes 48. 48 divided by 2 is 24. So that fits. Okay. Again, this part is kind of tricky when you have a missing dimension, either the base or the height. So definitely, if this makes sense to you, awesome. If not, you definitely have to ask. But you know that you can start by following this box and writing down the formula and plugging in what you know. And then you're trying to figure out, well, what is this blob right here? It has to be a 48. What does that B have to be to make this blob a 48? B has to be 16. So on today's practice, if it says find the area of a triangle, it should look like this. If it says find the missing dimension, your work should look something like this. But do notice, I want to highlight that both times you start by writing down the formula for area of a triangle. Area of a triangle equals base times height divided by 2. All right, well that wraps up lesson 2. Please, you've got to ask if you don't understand how to find area of a triangle, or especially this one. Most kids are good with this one. This is the trickier kind of problem you'll be practicing today. All right, I will see you soon for lesson 3.